So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about phone and its camera. Hi everybody, Assalamualaikum and welcome to another episode of Early Adopters. It is so good to be back in the studio after quite an adventure in our last episode. Check that episode out. I did something which I never thought I would have ever done. It is something that I would really like to talk about, and I'm going to be talking about phone cameras. Phone is an essential thing which everybody needs now, and cameras on the phones keep improving, and that is the biggest selling point of any phone, the camera. So we're gonna dive in a bit into the history of camera phones. Now, phone cameras has been around for a very long time. The first phone that had a camera was in the year 2000. A company, Sharp, and Sharp was the first ever company to produce a phone with a camera. But it was released by a company called J-Phone. So J-Phone is a Japanese brand which is the first phone to have a camera. Now the camera on the J-Phone I think is spectacular because it is 0.11 megapixel. Can you imagine that? Taking pictures with a phone that has 0.1 megapixel. You'll probably get better. I don't know it. Then 2 years later, Sanyo, another phone company, released a phone called the SCP-5300. And that phone had 0.3 megapixel. Now fast forward to 2005, Nokia came out with a phone, the N90, that had 2 megapixel. Then you fast forward all that to release a phone called Lumia. And one of the models is Lumia 1020. And I'm telling you, I am still shocked of seeing this number. It had 41 megapixel. But that is about phone cameras in general. What we're gonna look about the very many types of iPhones there is. Alright, we are gonna go back all the way back to 2007, where that was the first time we heard the term iPhone. We are gonna go in specifically about how the camera works. So the first iPhone in 2007, the iPhone 2G, had 2 megapixel. Then in 2009, iPhone came out with the iPhone 3GS. 3GS had improved their camera to a 3 megapixel now. iPhone then later improved some more in 2010 when they released the iPhone 4, which had 5 megapixel now. Still not good enough. iPhone push, there's always a better version, there's always the S version. iPhone 4S. Now the iPhone 4S had 8 megapixel. A year later, in 2011, the iPhone 5 came out, had the exact same camera as the iPhone 4S. And the 5S had also 8 megapixel. And they also improved their lens to an f2.2 aperture. Moving on to 2014, where the first ever we heard iPhone 6. iPhone 6 now has still 8 megapixel. There's always an S version coming along, and the iPhone 6S has the same exact camera as the iPhone 6, but the major difference is the iPhone 6 Plus had OIS. It gives you some sort of stabilization when you take pictures if you're on movement. In 2015, the iPhone 6S came out. For now, it has bumped up to 12 megapixel. Now included a new feature, what they call live photo. The iPhone 6S Plus has exactly the same camera as the iPhone 6S. Moving on to a year after that, 2016, iPhone 7 came out. Again, ladies and gentlemen, iPhone 7 came out and it had the same camera. But they say they upgraded the sensor from an f2.2 aperture lens. It now dropped down to an f1.8. Moving on, the iPhone 7 Plus, which came out the same time as well, now has a new feature. So you can look like more of a professional photographer with the introduction of portrait mode. Moving on, iPhone 8 came out. What they improve on is their flash. Their flash now improved, that has this term where they call slow sync. Slow sync will then register colors and stuff like that and project the correct lights for some reason while flashing so that you will retain your proper skin color. After that, Same thing goes with the iPhone 8 Plus. Everything's the same except there is portrait mode. Almost to the end, talking about the new iPhone 10. Well, not really new. It came out last year. It has now portrait mode on a selfie. But ladies and gentlemen, what we're gonna do today is we are gonna test out the new iPhone XS Max. And what I have with me today is the new iPhone XS Max. Let's see what new features it has to offer. So let's see what we get inside the box. Everybody knows Apple is designed in California. And we have the phone itself. And we're gonna see a bit of the iPhone XS Max. We're gonna go through some of the interfaces that, well, whatever that's new that we can find in the iPhone XS Max. Now, it is similar to the iPhone X. Top notch, meaning it doesn't have, it's a full screen, it doesn't have a home button, which I do not like. Because I'm so used to having that home button. I can show my phone. I'm so used to having that home button, which is so easy to click, and to get used to this. I don't know how long it takes for a person to get used to the gestures. There's a lot of gestures that you want to learn. This one, you have the L, what I've learned, an inverted L, which you can use to switch between applications, or what I'm trying to do is, what I'm supposed to do is trying to get this, like all the things that you open. Other than that, there's also, if you open the bar down here, what you can do is you can slide, switch between apps. And to get out, to go home, you just have to swipe up. Now, middle to top, notification center, push to the top. If you go to the right side and pull it down, that's the control center. And if you swipe halfway down, there we go. The reachability, if you have one on one hand, I feel that is exactly the same. I've been told that is exactly the same, other than the camera, which I am not going to talk much about the camera, because what we're going to do is we are going out on an adventure again with one of Malaysia's top Mobilegraphy influencer. He's an expert when it comes to talking about camera phones and what their limits are. Is it really worth investing in a phone with a good camera, or is it just better to just buy a camera? Let's put the iPhone XS Max to the test to make your Instagram feed or your social media feed much better. We are going to test whether the quality of the new iPhone X can it match a DSLR.